Hey YouTube, coming at you with another history of Splash Behind the Meta, this time of Umbreon. And Umbreon is, I think, amazing because it has been basically safe since Season 1, and it's still, when I go to it, overall feels like it's okay, even though there's a lot of worse matchups now. And the reason that I'll go through the reasons that was, but with Umbreon, it's been an interesting one because obviously when Pokemon Go first started, Kanto Pokemon were the first ones out. So everyone had EVs, and then they started doing the evolutions, and then Umbreon was one of the first ones that you can get. And then it had a community day where it got Last Resort and Psychic. It had two community days, Psychic and Last Resort. So you have a couple options there. I think Last Resort is the better one, but if you want to like try and use it as like a swap to like catch certain like Pokemon off guard, if you safe swap it and they think you have like Last Resort, and then you end up having Psychic, it could be like a kind of a sneaky play, but then you kind of wall yourself against other darks if you do that. So let's go over like why it was so strong, how it was very, very, very dominant in the first couple seasons, first like few seasons of GBL, and how I still think it's strong, but it definitely has its sort of weaknesses now. And where you got to start with is a stat product, and this is a very, very sexy stat product. 90 attack, 177 defense, 155 stamina. So I asked, and please clarify in the description if I'm wrong, because I was like, I don't understand why some Pokemon are what you consider bulky, and some have super high defense and low stamina, some have high stamina, low defense. Let me see if I can get anyone off the bat here. No, that's both pretty strong. Cofagrigus, I think, was one that I was showcasing where they said it. Cofagrigus was the one. 168 defense, 106 stamina. I'm like, what is the difference between these two? And someone in the comments, I had a couple comments saying like, you know, it's an overall stat product. It's a formula, so it's not as straightforward. And someone in the comments said that defense is how well you could take charge moves, and stamina is how well you could take fast moves, or vice versa, one of those two. So for something like Cofagrigus, again, I forget which one it is. It's like you take a decent amount of damage because you're low stamina on fast moves, but you still do well on charge moves because you have a high defense, or it's vice versa. It's one of those two. That's what the comment said. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So please, if you know the exact formula in the comments in the bottom, please link it in below. But then you go to Umbreon, and this is why I say it's the sexy stat product. You have 90 attack, which is, again, anything under 100 is pretty low, but it's not like it's down at like 80 or something like that, right? 90 is still not terrible, so you could still chip with this Pokemon. And then you have the combo there. You have 177 and 155, which means if that formula is correct, 1, you could take fast moves, 2, you could take charge moves, and then your overall stat product, 2476, is, again, amazing. So stat product-wise, Umbreon has always fit the bill of like what works in the Great League. In terms of moveset, again, you have Snarl, not a hard-hitting move, but a very, very fast energy-generating move. So 4.33 energy per turn, not a lot of damage too. Again, it's mostly just for energy generation. And then Foul Play, Last Resort, Dark Pulse, and Psychic. So everyone has used Foul Play and Foul Play and Last Resort. The reason that you use Foul Play at Last Resort, I think it was just because in terms of like the damage per energy, you're not giving up a ton. Foul Play versus Dark Pulse. I'm going to go over that in a second. I'm going to talk about that one second here. And then Last Resort is just a good, like, it's not as good as like Return or anything, but it's a normal type move that you can hit in neutral situations where Dark is resisted, like Fairies, like other Darks. Last Resort is just a decent move, 1.64, not amazing, not bad, for 90 damage. And then you're so bulky. So how would you use it in the past? It was one of the best safe swaps because you come in, even if you get hit with a fighter, you can like just like Last Resort. If you get hit with like a Azumarill was the main matchup back in the day, you can just kind of Last Resort and you could take a play rough with ease, and it just made it like a very, very safe Pokemon. I have gone on the record this season and saying Mandibuzz plays way, way, way better with Dark Pulse than it does with Foul Play. And it was one of those that I said that like when Mandibuzz used to throw moves in the past, I was never scared of a Foul Play, but I am sure scared of Dark Pulses now. And the difference is 12 damage for, as you see, the fast move difference here, 4.343 versus 4.444. So if you're just all things equal, one Snarl it's going to take one extra longer on the second, one extra longer on the fourth. Why Mandibuzz gets away with it now is because they lower the energy for air release. So you on Mandibuzz have a bait move, right? You have similar stat product, right? 92, 149, 176, 24 overall. Similar stat product. But now you have that 40 energy move in air release. So again, air release is not a good move, but stab 66 damage, 1.65, not terrible. So now having a bait move at 4333, you can just afford to go that extra 1.92 damage on Dark Pulse. You don't have that same luxury with Umbreon, and it's interesting because Mandibuzz is ranked 13 and Umbreon's ranked 51. And I think it comes down to two things. One, I think it's having that bait move of air release, allowing you to run the Dark Pulse, because I've tried to run Dark Pulse before and I like it on Umbreon, but again, when you have your second move as a last resort, which is over 5444 in terms of fast moves, there's sometimes that when you bait, it doesn't work out. So if you actually just if you just put in this against the meta at 17 and 23, and then you switch it to Dark Pulse, 12 and 28, right? So it's a significant difference running Dark Pulse on Umbreon. So that is why I think Mandibuzz is better. You also need to trade off your secondary weaknesses. I'll go over that in a second, because you're just pure dark here, so you pick up that fighting weakness. Whereas Mandibuzz, the flying neutralizes the bug, which is whatever, and neutralizes the flying, but it picks up rock, ice, and electric, which is not insignificant. But then you add on resistances in ground and grass and stuff like that. So trade off between the typings, the secondary typing of flying on Mandibuzz versus Umbreon here. So again, just a pure dark is not terrible. There is a decent amount of fighting, but there's some fairy, but again, if you're a fairy, you're going to lose anyways. And then bug is kind of, again, whatever, not a lot of it. So this fighting is mostly what you need to watch out for. But then you don't pick up a lot of resistances with that secondary typing. You have a ghost typing, which you have as a normal dark, and then psychic. So the typing is okay. So you have insane bulk that you could take charge moves and fast moves. You have a good fast move energy generation here. You have a good but not amazing foul play, like an okay last resort and okay typing. So when the first seasons of GBL against the main meta here, you're seeing like an 8-5 record, and that was the thing. Like, you came in like lots of wins. Azumarill was your main hardest one loss here, and then fighters. But otherwise, like, you were winning a lot, and Umbreon was on every single team. It was very, very, very strong Pokemon. Just being able to take that bulk, like those moves, last resort to just kind of chip and stuff like that. And then, it was very, very strong. You saw the ranking is down to 53. If you go run it against the open meta, it's 17, not like the Great League meta now. It's 17 to 23. And again, so this is one Pokemon I always say in a lot of these analysis that I do. I'm like, oh, what happened was the bulk. The XLs cause these other bulky Pokemon. You have like Medis and Sableyes and Azumarils going from like level 30 to level like 47 to 50. And like that was a big difference, and same thing with all these other Pokemon. Umbreon doesn't really suffer from that, right? Because Umbreon's already so tanky. So I'm not too worried about the sort of bulk XL aspect of it. What ended up happening was the meta change, right? So why did you go from having like an 8-5, 532 average to now having a 1723, 464? And that's because you have more prevalent fighters than you did back in the day, right? Machamp was the only fighter back in the day, but now you have Poliwrath and you have Annihilate, you have Medi, right? So more fighters now. You have a couple more fairies now. Like Azumarill was always there, but now you have like Carbink and you have Wigglies showing up more. And then I'm looking at some of these other losses of like, you're losing to Whiscash now. You're losing to Gligar, Shadow Gligar. You're losing to Dugong, and it's kind of just like a lot of meta Pokemon there for starters, but it's meta Pokemon that have otherwise been buffed in the past couple seasons, and those buffs were wins before, but now their just moveset is so overpowered that they have now been able to take you out. So, right? So Whiscash with Skull, everyone's been calling for a Skull buff for a while, me in particular, but many others. I mean, Poliwrath is a counter user, so you're going to lose to that anyways, but like Shadow Gligar, like Shadow Gligar just like getting that Wing Attack, Air Lace, and Dig buff, like triple buff combo there. Just that Shadow damage adding up. Dugong's always been tanky and always had like the Icy Shard and Icy Wind combo, so that's whatever. Bastiodon is like one of those that like maybe benefits from just the extra bulk of XLs compared to the non-XLs, so maybe that one makes a difference, but for the most part, I think it's just like an increase in the fighters, an increase in the fairies, and an increase in the sort of like buffed move Pokemon that really made them sort of like kind of overpowered in these neutral situations, right? So it's and that's the thing, like you can always look at a Pokemon and be like, is this Pokemon overpowered or not? And it's not, for me, I never look at the losses, like the pure losses. Like you're going to lose the ones that you're supposed to lose. Like Umbreon is going to lose against the fairy. It's these neutral matchups to the ones that versus the ones you're supposed to win that I look at. So like if you look back in the day, like yes, you're going to lose to a Azumarill. Actually, that's 0-15-15. That's not even the right IVs on a Azumarill, because that is a very high. Like mine was a 10-15-15, maybe something like that. It's not updating the numbers here, but it's probably even less than this. See if I can update the numbers in the actual things here. So you still, like here, you'll live one play rough here. They're going to get on these beam off. So I think, they're going to beat you anyway, so it wasn't that shocking. But it was like in these bad matchups, you can still chip and stay in, right? Or in these close matchups, like Skarmory or Swampert, where you could just like, actually this still has Steel Wing, so you beat the analysis is not where I think I need to reset this 1 second. Because I have a custom group for season 1, which I put in the IVs. And you have to run air slash here. And there is the right IVs there, so that's better. Azumarill, yeah, so you pick up a little more. Again, you're still going to lose, but you pick up a little more just based on the less bulk. But like it's a neutral matchups against like Swampert and Skarmory that really shows like how strong a Pokemon is. And that's what it comes down to with like these newer Pokemon. I don't care, yes, Mudboys are going to get killed by grass, obviously. But like it's those neutral situations where like it could have gone either way before, where they're now just like dominating, or like the ones that you should be losing but you're now are like way closer. Like what was the other, like Poliwrath? I played Poliwrath versus Jellicent the other day, and like Poliwrath getting off like a Scald and debuffing Jellicent for a resisted counter, resisted Scald, you like take it down to like the yellow to red, which should never happen in a scenario like that. So it's moves like that I really don't like a Pokemon. I feel like they're not balanced properly. But Pokemon like this, where it's just like, yeah, you're going to lose ones you're going to lose, but you'll chip here, and you're going to win the one you're supposed to win, like Hypno, obviously, that's whatever. But it's then these like neutral matchups where you're winning with like okay movesets is the ones that I like. So I like Umbreon. Again, not a lot of people are using Umbreon because everyone's using... everyone is using... Why is this being so weird? Everyone is using Mandibuzz right now. Okay, my thing has frozen. Weird. Okay, my thing is frozen. Anyways, that's basically what I wanted to say about it. Okay. Site is frozen. Everything's going crazy right now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's just like the state of the meta as to why people are using Mandibuzz over thing. Right? Because that flying, I'd rather give up a fight. You give up like a fighting weakness for put in an electric, ice, and rock, which is not nothing, but again, ice and rock are not super around right now. Electric, lantern, you can argue is, But then like picking up a double resistance to ground and a single resistance to grass is pretty nice offset there. With overall pretty much the same, like 92, 149, 176. And Umbreon is almost the exact same, 90, 177, 155, right? So I think there's defense and stamina switched, but overall same sort of concept with Mandibuzz. Again, Mandibuzz just gets a slight edge because of the air lace quicker and potentially typing. You can argue with the new moves there. But that is Umbreon. You're gonna see people love Umbreon. Just based on my channel, this is not something based on any sort of, what I'm going to say here is not based on why you should use Umbreon, but people love Umbreon. Whenever I put Umbreon in like the title or like thumbnail, people click. Like people really like Umbreon, and I don't know if it's because it was one of the early. I think it's one of the, again, I did not play past Gold, so I think it's one of the earlier evolutions. Besides like I know the first one's like Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon, because that's the ones that I know from season, like the first one. But I think Umbreon is like one of the closer ones. Plus, I think a lot of people like it because it was the first, realistically, in this game, it was the first evolution to be useful, right? You had, like I said, you had Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, that in the main series games, I loved using Jolteon, but like those main series games don't translate to this game because Jolteon got like the first move in that game, which doesn't translate to here. So I think Umbreon was the first evolution in this game that actually had play, which is why I think a lot of people hold like a special place to it, and then put on the fact that it was like a great save swap and has good stat products and everything makes it that much better. So I think that's why you see a lot of Umbreon. I don't think it'll ever truly go away, quite honestly. Like Hypno, I argue that like Hypno went away because, you know, just the current moveset and its stat product and its not stat product, but it's like its typing of Psychic, just pure Psychic, and this having only Confusion. I think like unless they like update the moveset, it's not going to go away. It's not going to come back. And here, they're not going to nerf any of these. Like I'd be surprised if they nerfed. There's no reason to nerf any of these moves or buff them. Quite honestly, I think Snarl, Foul Play, Last Resort, Dark Pulse are all good stat products. So like I think that like Umbreon's gonna be untouched, and so it's only gonna depend on the state of the meta. And the thing is, like, Bug and Fairy are two very tricky typings to use in Open Great League, right? Because a lot of the fairies are just like charmers, and that's very limited use. And then bugs can just get very easily beat by a lot of the current meta, like flyers and mud boys and stuff like that, right? Ground. So I think bug is a little tricky. Fighting is everywhere. It's kind of always been everywhere. So I think that like Umbreon is one of those that will always hover in the top 75 rankings. And especially if like they try and if they like increase flyers to like offset fighters in the open meta, it has the potential to even jump up the rankings a little bit. So Umbreon is one that I think should probably be on your roster, and for me, it's one that I've always felt safe using when I need to like grind. I think it's a very strong Pokemon. Anyways, that's it. Again, I'm going to keep going with these all week because I have no idea how many teams I will actually have for Catch Cup. So stay tuned for a lot of these. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.